Hi, thanks for being here with me. This is my second sock and I'm still very much in the middle of learning. I'm paying attention to what my hands do naturally, what feels hard, and what starts to make a little more sense this second time around. This is how I naturally started holding my yarn wrapped around my pinky, but I noticed after about an hour, my pinky starts to cramp. So when I moved it to my ring finger, I figured out that I could go a little bit longer without it hurting as much. I keep hearing that you shouldn't push on the needle tips, so I wanted to try and see what actually happened. As you can see here, when I try, my tension gets really tight and it's hard for me to get it off the end. I've tried going closer to the end of my needle tips, but then again, every few stitches I still have to readjust and I end up pushing on the tips anyway. I'm not sure how to build that skill without everything locking up, so if you have any ideas for a beginner, I'd love to know how. That little pink stitch marker, we'll look at that again in a few seconds. So I started to notice when I get a few stitches past that pink stitch marker that the ones right underneath of that stitch marker, those stitches don't look as good. The ones to the left and right are nice and straight and tight, but if you look right underneath of that stitch marker, those few rows where I had it are a little bit wider, and I don't want that down the whole side of my sock. So I think we're gonna have to tink back and take that marker out. Tinking back is still slow and very awkward for me. When I pull on the yarn, it opens up a nice wide space, but then when I go to move my needle over, it closes up. So if you have any beginner-friendly tips for making this easier, I'd really appreciate them. I am so nervous when I am tinking that anything to make it easier would be great. So here you can see I've removed that pink stitch marker and I've gone and got one of those little light bulb ones that everyone seems to love, and now I know why. You can see on that pink one it's a lot wider, and on this small of yarn it obviously made a difference. Here I just wanted to show some speed of what a beginner knitter is like, especially if I have people that are learning with me and following along. It's nice to be able to see at least what it's like for me to go. Maybe it'll make you feel better as a beginner because you're speeding along at 10 times the rate of me. But sometimes it's nice to see at my level or your level kind of what looks normal. And as you can see for me, it's a little bit slow, but the sock is the end goal, not speed. Speaking of speed, I'm about to try Continental knitting here. A lot of people say it's faster, but for me, it's definitely slower right now. I'm sure with some practice, I could get faster at it, but I seem to do okay when I'm doing the knit stitch, but when I try to purl, my fingers and my head just do not connect, and I cannot purl Continental to save my life. So if you have any advice on how to make that easier, I've tried a few videos and tried a few different ways, and it still just does not work for me. So the English style ends up still being faster, and I feel like I'm more accurate with that. Here I'm just stopping to reset, and sometimes I do that because checking in helps me stay relaxed and consistent. So one of the things that I do on the second sock that I didn't do on the first is I add stitch markers at the beginning of each day when I start knitting. For some reason on the last sock, the leg just felt like I never made any progress. So with these stitch markers, even if it's little, I can see that I've made some progress, and for some reason it feels like it's moving along faster. And here I do try to check my work every couple rows because I'm not great at fixing things. So I like to be able to see before I get too far in if I need to go back, especially if I need to tink. If I had to do multiple rows, we'd be here for days. So I do have a few questions I'd like help with. I can see a small indentation where I joined in the round here. It's not unraveling, but I'm curious what causes this and how to prevent it next time. Also, if there's a beginner-friendly way to fix it after the fact, I'd love to learn that too. Let's look at the first sock. I still have a few questions on that. I'm showing you my gusset stitches. I actually think they're pretty good for a beginner. There's a hole at the top here from where I joined in the new color, and I'm pretty sure I had a stitch marker. I don't think I can fix it now, but any advice on that would be greatly appreciated. And then here I'm trying to show you where there's some of these threads that are sticking on the outside of my sock by the, I think that's the flap, the heel flap. I'll turn it inside out so that I can show you. What I think happened is that when I was weaving in my ends here, I pushed too far forward through the stitches and out the front. And now that that tail is so small, there's no way that I can think of to go back and fix it. So I guess I'm going to leave that as a remembrance on my first sock. If this causes issues later, or if you have tips for next time, I'm open to those as well. Hi, thanks for being here with me. I'm still learning and I definitely still have a lot of questions, but I am enjoying being here in the middle of this process. So thanks for spending some time with me, and I hope to see you again next time. Have a great day wherever you are.